10. You're listening to the Andie Harper Show on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. Well, this morning we've been looking at the knock-on effect of significant delays in the building of new homes in Cambridgeshire. Now, this comes as a BBC investigation discovered that 12,000 homes with planning permission are yet to be started. But what's the latest on developments where planning permission is yet to be granted? Last week, it was decided that a large development on Bourn Airfield will remain part of the South Cambridgeshire local plan. This, much to the disappointment of locals who launched a very vigorous campaign against it. Well, I'm joined now by Des O'Brien. Des is the chairman of the Stop Bourn Airfield Development Group. Des, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Andy.
So last week it was decided that this would remain as part of the plans of South Cambridgeshire to develop areas of the county. Huge disappointment following the campaign, I imagine.
Yes, I think people were disappointed, although not entirely surprised. I think we felt that the sort of juggernaut, if you want to call it, of the South Cambridgeshire District Council was moving forward and really, although in spite of the fact that they said they were listening, weren't really listening. So when the vote came, it was a much closer vote than they expected, and we were pleased about that. But we weren't surprised that the vote went through.
For people who are not too sure, we're talking about the development on Bourn Airfield, which lies between the village of Bourn and, of course, the huge development at Camborne. How many homes are they planning to build there?
In total, between the Bourn Airfield development that they plan and a further extension to the west of Camborne, the total will be 5,000 houses, so 3,500 houses on Bourn Airfield and just something short of 1,500 houses on West Camborne, effectively making Camborne into a town. Because the separation between West Camborne and Bourn Airfield is minute. You know, we're talking about, 60, 80 metres.
And of course, they will say, South Cams that is, that they're under constant pressure from the government to provide land for housing, and this is ideal.
Well, of course they'd say that. I think going back to one of the points you made about the areas of land that have got planning permission or have got allocations to go ahead and build, we have to remember that Northstowe, which was the sort of big flagship development that South Cambridgeshire came up with some time ago, still hasn't had a brick laid. And I think people in South Cambridgeshire need to be asking serious questions about why that is. Why is Northstowe still not online? And a lot of the reasons why the sort of low-hanging fruit, I would call it, like Bourn Airfield and West Camborne, have suddenly come into the frame is because they haven't been able to deliver any houses in Northstowe. So why, between the developers and South Cambridgeshire District Council, are we still waiting for Northstowe to even have a brick laid? It's very peculiar.
Is your best hope really that because there are other developments in the pipeline, this one could be a long time coming? Maybe, as I mentioned, planning permission has yet to be granted. So is that a hope of the residents of Bourn and the surrounding area?
No, not at all. Quite the reverse, in fact. I think, developers have come into South Cambridge District Council promising that West Camborne and Bourn Airfield are quickly deliverable, which, fills the South Cambridge District Council full of joy because they've struggled so much with Northstowe. They think they can sort of slide in with Bourn Airfield and West Camborne and get them delivered quickly. The problem, as I said to you before, Andy, they are just in the wrong place. There's been a lot of talk about the houses being needed because the jobs are being created, but the jobs are not being created in this part of Cambridgeshire. We have got no prospect of significant number of job increases, and in fact, Papworth is going to close or move to either Addenbrooke's or possibly Peterborough. So the idea of building the houses here is really just, to me, a sort of sleight of hand. And I think the question should be asked about why the big flagship development, the development that everybody knew about and had been in planning for a very long time, hasn't come forward. And so as a sort of fail-safe or make-weight, they've looked at West Camborne and Bourn Airfield.
One of the issues linked to Northstowe was the whole business of communications, hence the guided bus, hence the long hoped-for development of the A14. What about communications, particularly the infrastructure as far as roads are concerned, with your development? I mean, I'm quite familiar with the area, and I can see even bigger issues there, really.
Well, that is the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that people who live who may live in either Bourn Airfield or West Camborne will be forced to drive to work because there is no guided bus system. The take-up of bus usage in Camborne as it stands at the moment is incredibly low. About 4% of people travel to work from Camborne by bus. 70% drive in their cars. Now, if you know the area, as you've said, you'll know that they will go to Cambridge or they'll go to areas south of Cambridge. There's no direct link between the 428 and the M11. So what happens is that they either get up onto Madingley Hill and block that up, and it's going to get worse and worse, or they'll drive through the villages, all of the villages around the area, to get to the M11. And there's the prospect, and we've checked with the Highways Agency, if 5,000 houses are built in this area, then there will be 19,000 new car journeys every day. And there is no guided bus, no prospect for lengthening or widening the 428. So I don't see where the South Cambridge District Council can imagine the cars are going to go.
Where to next for the Stop Bad campaign?
Well, we've got the examination in public, which is a government inspector will cast his eye or her eye over the whole of the plan and will look at it from the point of view of legality and sustainability. And we feel that we have a very, very strong case to say we're not arguing that houses need to be built, but it shouldn't be a reactionary situation where we just look to find houses, places to build houses anywhere because we're short of them. We should be looking with some sort of vision about what the future holds for South Cambridgeshire and Cambridgeshire. And I'm hoping, and we're hoping, that the inspector will have a similar view. It needs strategy, it needs vision, and it doesn't need us running around slightly headlessly putting houses wherever we think we can get them.
Des, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks very much, Andy.
That's Des O'Brien, who is the chairman of the Bourn Airfield Development Group.